The Trump administration is moving to revoke the legal status of hundreds of thousands of Latin American and Haitian migrants and will urge them to self-deport. That's according to a notice posted online by the federal government. This impacts 532,000 migrants. All entered the U.S. under a Biden-era sponsorship program called CHNV, which aimed to cut down on illegal immigration at the border by providing legal avenues. The policy was paused by President Trump after he took office. The current administration says those who fail to self-deport will face arrest and removal by deportation agents. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez joins us now in Washington for more. Camilo, explain to us what protections this program provides and why the Trump administration is revoking it.
Good evening, Lindsay. The more than 500,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela who arrived into the U.S. under this Biden-era program all have legal status. They have work permits and deportation protections that typically last for 2 years. And the Biden administration admitted them into the country under the premise that it was offering them a legal alternative to come to the U.S. that would dissuade them and discourage them, Lindsay, from crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. But now the Trump administration is saying that this program was an abuse of the president's immigration authority, that it was plagued by fraud, and that it should be terminated. And in fact, in the next 30 days, that is indeed what the Department of Homeland Security will be doing. Not only will it be terminating the program officially, but it will also terminate the legal status of the more than 500,000 people who already arrived to the country under that policy. And they have 30 days starting tomorrow, Lindsay, to essentially pack their bags, voluntarily depart the country through a smartphone app system that the administration has set up for self-deportations, or they will face removal and arrest by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, according to DHS.
Camilo, the U.S. has also lodged new accusations against detained Colombia protest leader Mahmoud Khalil. What do we know?
Well, when this arrest initially happened, the government alleged that the reason it was detaining and seeking to deport Mr. Khalil was because the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, had invoked a rarely used law in the immigration code that allows the government to seek the deportation of non-citizens, including lawful permanent residents like Mr. Khalil, on the ground that their presence here in the U.S. and their activities here threaten the foreign policy interests of the country. But now the government is revealing that it has filed new civil immigration charges against Mr. Khalil. Not only are they arguing now, Lindsay, that he threatens the foreign policy interests of the country, but that he also orchestrated immigration fraud because they're saying he failed to disclose his involvement in work at the British Embassy in Beirut and the United Nations Refugee Agency for Palestinian Migrants and Refugees, and that he did not disclose that in his green card application. And so they are now accusing him of immigration fraud too, Lindsay, and saying that that is another ground to deport him from the country, rather.
Camilo, a new federal lawsuit says the Trump administration is looking to arrest and deport another Columbia University student involved in pro-Palestinian protests. What do we know?
A new lawsuit in federal court today says that ICE is seeking to detain and potentially deport a 21-year-old Columbia University student involved in pro-Palestinian protests, and that it has already visited her parents' residence, and that this woman is a 21-year-old native of South Korea who came to the U.S. when she was 7. She has lived here most of her life, Lindsay, and according to her lawyers, ICE is targeting her because of her involvement in protests and also citing the same law that is underpinning the arrest of Mr. Khalil. And so this is yet another example of the administration targeting students that they believe are expressing views that are aligned with groups like Hamas. Obviously, critics of the administration would argue that they are targeting students based on their political speech in violation of their First Amendment rights. So this will continue to play out in the court system. We understand that she is currently not in detention, but lawyers do fear that ICE will eventually try to arrest, detain, and deport her.
Camilo Montoya Galvez, thank you.